Good evening, class, and welcome to our performance management class this evening. Today, we are looking at um, cash management, which is part of the working capital management. The last time we talked about Miller-Orr model. That's an important model that is being tested in exams. So we look at this question. Eniola Nigeria Limited decided that it needs a minimum cash balance of it didn't tell us what the minimum cash balance is. Let's see if it's possible we can get to do this question. We are not given a cash balance, so I believe this is not complete. It estimates that its transaction cost of 120 for each purchases or sales of short-term investment. So we can be looking at it here. What are the parameters? So this is cash management. So we have the Miller model. We are in practice question 2. All right, so let's look at the practice question 2. And we're told it decides a minimum cash balance of, we are not told. It estimates that the transaction costs of 120. So we can say transaction costs, or call it T, is 120 for each purpose of sale of the short-term investment. Based on this measured historical observation, the standard deviation of daily cash flows, standard deviation, I'll call it SD. I can also call it the square root of V, whether you call it the square root of V or you call it V 1/2, still V is variance. Standard deviation is the square root of variance. And we're told it's how much? 1,800. 1,800. Then we are also told here that the market interest rate on short-term investment is 7%. Interest rate. Interest rate R is 7%, which is 0.07. Okay, so now this is per annum. This is per annum. Now, this is standard deviation of daily cash flows. So there will be need for us to bring this to daily annual from annual rate to daily rates. So we are asked to use the Miller-Orr model to calculate the upper cash limit and the return point. The upper cash limit and the return point. So let's look at the spread. Spread is equal to, let's look at that mighty formula there. I start with 3 multiplied by 3 multiplied by, so we say 3 multiplied by 3 over 4 times t. Let me say times t, so that I will not be writing too much because we already know what t is, times variance, times variance all over interest divided by interest raised to power 1 over 3. So I want to be sure it's 1 over 3 or not 1 over 2. It's 1 over 3. All right. Let's see how this is done. Okay. So what do we do now? We put all these parameters. So this is going to be 3 multiplied by 3 over 4 times, what's the transaction? Remember, it's 120 times 120 multiplied by, now this is variance. Now, we're not giving variance, we're giving standard deviation. So variance is the square of standard deviation. So if standard variance is the square of standard deviation, while standard deviation is the square root of variance. So standard deviation is the square root of variance. We want to look for variance. So it means that for us to make this v to remain itself, we must square. So it means this is going to be just like saying SD is equals to V 1 over 2 here. We want to look for only V. So let's say V 1 over 2 is equals to SD. How do we make V 1 over 2? How do we remove this 2 up down there? You multiply by 2 over 1. So it means anything you do to the left, you do to the right. So this will cancel this. So it means that V is equals to the square of standard deviation. So that is what I am doing here. Square of standard deviation means 1/8 square. Then divided by rate is 0.07. But now this is an annual rate. We need to change it to a daily rate. So you divide this by 365. Then you come down here and make it 1 over 3. So now let's tidy up this. Let's tidy them up. So your spread will still be 3 multiplied by your 3 over 4 will still be there, multiplied by 120 multiplied by, let's do this now, 1800 squared. That will be 3240,000. 3240. 3240,000. Now divided by, now let's have 0.07 divided by 365. This whole thing, we'll leave it like this, but this is, for us to have this -4 here, it means there must be 4 zeros before all of this. So it means this is 0.000. So how many zeros is there? 1, 2, 3, 4. There is 1 before the zero, for the point, and 3 more zeros follows. 1918. 1918. So this 7, the one that follows it is more than 5, so we convert it to 8. But we are going to use everything in our calculator here. Then we are going to raise to power 1/3. So let's tidy it up again. This is still going to be 3 multiplied by, so let's tidy the whole thing here in the bracket. I have this big figure here. So I have this 3240. So let me multiply up from here, from right to left. So I'll say multiplied by 120, then multiplied by 3 divided by 4. I have this as my answer. Then let me bring this whole thing here. Let me copy the whole of this. Okay, I know what to do. This is 0.07 divided by 365. I can achieve it here. How can I achieve it here? I will just say divided by, I'll open a bracket to handle that. Let me open this bracket. 0.07 divided by 365. I will close the bracket. You see, I have achieved that same thing I want to do. And I'll just say equal to. So this is the whole thing here. 1,000. Okay, this is 1,520. Let me be writing them one by one. 1,520. Okay, this 1,520. 485. 485. What again? 714. 714. What again? 286. 286 raised to power 1/3. Now, I will not clear everything out. Even though I'm writing it to the nearest whole number, I'm using this whole thing. So how do I do 1/3? I'll just say raised to power. I'll open a bracket, because if I just do without this bracket, if I just do 1 divided by 3, I'll be making an error. It means I'm just doing raised to power 1, which is everything. And if I just say divided by 3, it means I'm dividing the whole of this thing by 3, which is not what I want to do. I want it to be raised to power 1/3. I have done my raised to power. I'll hold the 1/3 with this bracket. 1 divided by 3. Now close the bracket. This is 1/3 that I want to be on top. I'll say equal to Instead of writing this same thing again, I'll just multiply it by 3. I'll just multiply by 3. So what I have here is 34,497. 34,497. So this is 34,497. This is your spread. So now we are not giving this question is not complete. We are not giving the minimum balance. So, but just to be on the safe side, let's go and check the minimum balance from the solution so that we can understand. Because I know that the solution will have the minimum balance. All right. The minimum balance is 40,000. We have 34914. We have 34497. It's not a bad thing. We did the same thing. It's just rounding error. It's all approximation error. So it means that if we are told to look for the upper cash limit, so it means that upper cash limit is equal to lower limit plus spread. So it means lower limit is 40,000, spread is 34,497. So that will give me 74,497. Then your return point, return point is either upper limit minus 2/3 of spread, or lower limit plus 1/3 of spread. So let's check each of them. You don't need to do the two of them, but we'll do the two of them to confirm. So upper limit, we said 34,497. Sorry, 74,497 is the upper limit. Then minus 2/3 of 34,497. Let's see what we get. So I'll start with 74,497 minus, I want to do an operation here, so I'll just put a bracket, 2 divided by 3 multiplied by 34,497. Close the bracket. This thing here is the thing here. So that's it here. Then I'll say equal to. So that is 51,499. 51,499. 51,499. Now that's the upper limit angle. Let's use lower limit. So we say or lower limit. I'll say 40,000 plus 1/3 times 497. So let's see. 40,000 plus, now you open a bracket, 1 divided by 3 multiplied by 34,497, close the bracket, equal to the same thing, 51,499. 51,499. So this is your return point. They give you the same thing, whether you are using the upper or the lower limit perspective. Now that's it. I wanted us to look at another aspect of, let me see. No, it's not here. There's no question for us here to use cash budgets. So this is a cash budget. I wanted us to see if there's other examples of cash budgets, but it appears there is no example. So let's see if we can see a question on cash budgets. This is cash forecast. Come back to that. Okay, let's see if that is something that we need to do. Let's see. Question number 3, November 2018. November 2018. November 2018. Let's open that. November 2018. All right. Question number 3. Now let's see this question. Omo BOG Nigeria Limited is a trading company that specializes in buying and selling of bulk oil. The company is financed by a capital base of 24 million, inclusive of reserve, in a mix of 30% and 70% of debt and equity, respectively. So what it means here is 30% is debt, equity is 70%. So it is not highly geared. The company has been in trading for the past 6 years and has consistently adhered to its corporate policy on sales, purchases, and inventory management. The company policy on sales is to ensure that sales proceeds are collected as follows. Cash sales is 30% of the monthly sales. The balance of month's sales is to be collected in the following month's sales. The policy on monthly purchase, which is in agreement with the supplier's policy, is to pay for all supplies in the month following the month of purchase. So it means if I purchase something in January, I will pay it in February. The general policy of the company is that purchase of bulk oil represents 60% of the annual sales. Okay, so it means the purchase of bulk oil represents 60% of the corresponding annual sales value. So it means that the purchase you made in January, if you make 60,000 as purchase, that 60,000 is like 60% of what the sales will be. So it means for us to get the sales, we need to find 100% of it. Then while its inventory policy is to reserve 30% of the month's purchase as closing inventory. Then this is actual 2023. Then we have 2024, 5, 6, 7 as estimates. The following information is available for 5 years, 2020, 13 to 17. Monthly sales, salaries, rent, and expense. Then we are required, the company will purchase a motor vehicle in July, which will be paid in 2 installments as follows. First payment will be 60% of cost in September 2016, while the balance will be paid in November. The cost of the motor vehicle is 7,500,000. Annual depreciation of the motor will be 20% on the straight line basis. Monthly expenses include annual depreciation of the motor vehicle. Cash balance as at December 31, 2014 was 2,500,000. The company's rents, expenses, and all that will be paid in the month in which they are due. We are asked to prepare a cash forecast for 2015, 16, and 17, showing closing cash balance at each year end. 2015, 16, and 17. We want to do a cash forecast. Okay, so what we'll do now, then we prepare a probability and profitability forecast, then determine and comment on the forecast liquidity ratio for 2017. So let's prepare a cash forecast. So let's say these are our sales for 2015 to 17. 2015 to 17. So look at what we'll do now. So let's start it from here. This is November 2018. Question 3. What's the name of the company again? Omebo AG. AG. Nigeria Limited. All right, so we are asked to prepare the cash forecast for 2015 to 2017. So I will say this is cash forecast 2015 to 2017. So I can come here and say this is 2015, 2016, this is 2017. So I can say this is cash inflow. Sales collection. Okay, so we'll go and do a walk-ins and bring it down. So let me use here to do my walk-ins. Walk-ins. So this is number one, cash collected from sales. And we are given 2013 to 2017. So we'll put all of them together. So this is 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, and 2017. Then we will say monthly sales. This is monthly sales. Monthly sales. Monthly sales. This is 12, 15. So let me do it this way. 3 zeros. 12, 15, 16.8. 12, 15, 16.8, 18 and 24. 18 and 24. So now we say yearly sales. So you are multiplying them by 12. Because 12 times 12 is 144. So this is the yearly sales, 144. Then I have 15 times 12. That gives me 180. Then I have 16.8 times 12. That gives me 201.6. 201.6. You can decide to put yours in full. 18 times 12, 216. It's like 216,000. Then I have 24 times 12, 288. This is the yearly sales. So what happened here? We are told here that cash sales is 30% monthly. Cash sales is 30% monthly. So now let's look at what is cash sales here. So I can say here, cash sales. Now that's 30%. So what it means here is 30% of 144 was collected for cash in the whole year. So I'll come here, 144, sorry, 144 multiplied by 30. That gives me, now I will put in the whole thousand now, 43,200. Let me put it for the sake of simplicity, 43,200. So let's remove those doubts, because now our final answers will be coming here. 180 multiplied by 0.3, that's 54,000. Then we have 201.6 multiplied by 0.3, that will give you 60,480. 6480. Then we have 216 times 0.3, 64,800. 64,800. Then here, 288 times 0.3, that should give you 17,400. 1700. So 288 times 0.3, 86,400. Pardon me. 86,400. Now this is cash sales. It means that 30% of the 30% is monthly, of the monthly sales is cash. So what it means is that the cash sales for January is 30% of January sales. That of February is 30%. So all the yearly sales for the 12 months, they've collected 30% of it as your cash sales. Now what it then means now that is the balance, which is 70%, is collected the following month. So now let's look at how we are going to do it. What it means is that if you sell in January, you are collecting cash 30% that same January. The remaining 70% is collected in February. Now for February sales, you collect cash, then you are having January 70% collected in February. January 70% is collected in February. Meanwhile, February 70% is collected in March. The same thing up till October, November. Now let's look at November. November cash is 30%. The remaining 70% is taken to December. Meanwhile, October's own is collected in November. November's own is pushed to December. For December, only 30% cash is collected. December's sale is collected in January. So what it means here is the 70% of every year, January to November, is collected in the same year. So it means January sales is collected in February like that. November sales is collected in December. So January to November is being collected in that year. December's 70% is collected the following year. Meanwhile, January's sales will contain December sales from last year. So that's the sort of thing we'll be doing. So what we'll be doing here is, I'll say January of last year. We don't have anything here from last year. January of last year, we take the monthly sales, we say 12,000, because what they sell one month is what they sell averagely every month. So it means that if January sales from last year is collected this year, this is 1 month sales for last year. We are collecting 1 month sales for last year here. So this means that we can say that this is January sales, because January is 1 month now. This one will be 15. This one will be 16,800. This one will be 18,000. Then we'll say February to December. This is like 11 months of the normal sales for the year. 11 months out of it. The 11 months, 70%. 70%. This is 30%. Now the remainder, which is 70%. So the remainder, which is 70%, we are going to collect 11. Okay, let's do it this way. We are going to collect, this is, let's say this is 144. We did 30% to be 43,200, right? So it means that 144,000, let's do 70%, 180. Okay, so it means that this 180 is supposed to be collected, is pushed to the next month. So what happens here is that for the whole year, you would have collected January to November, or to this February to November sales. January to November, okay? January to November is being collected by in this February to December. So what I will do here is I will say 11 over 12, because you are collecting 11 out of 12. So what it means here is this 144,000, we are collecting 11 out of 12, 132,000. We are collecting it this year, 132,000. So what it means here is this. Okay, no. That's not it. That's not it. Sorry. 144,000. You will look for 70%, which is 10,800. Okay, 10,800. What it then means here is that you are going to take 11 over 12 of it, 92,400. 92,400 is what you will take here. 92,400. Then that means we need to recap. We need to do this once again. Then it means that 1 over 12 out of it is what is here. So let me just 11, 8,400. So I beg your pardon, this should be 8,400. I'll explain why. 8,400. Okay, if you look at it now, 8,400 is what we didn't collect. If we add it to 92,400, this will give you the 70%, which is credit. If you add 43,200, that gives you the 144 here. So we are going to recalculate this again. Okay, so we've done this. Now let's look at the next one here, 180,000. $180,000. Let's remove the 54,000, which is cash. We have 126, right? If we divide this by 12, 10,500, which is 1 month's own, is what will be here. 10,500. This is 1 month's own. If we multiply this by 11, this is the 11 months, 115,500. 115,500. So it means if we add this plus this, so if you add this to this and back to this, it will give us this. So let's try it. 115,500, we add 10,500, then if we add 54,000, that gives us the 180 we have here. Okay, so that's it. Let me leave it like this. Now let's look at this 201, 201, 600. Let's remove the cash. Minus 6480. Now these ones is collected like that. If we divide it by 12, we'll find the one that has not been collected, which is collected next year, 11,760. 11,760. If we were to multiply this by 11, we will see the ones that we've collected this year, 129,360. Now let's look at this here. We have 216,000. Let's remove 64,800. All right. Now let's divide this by 12. We have 12,600, which we collected here. 12,600. We multiply this by 11, 138,600. 138,600. Now we'll go to the 288. 288,000. Okay, let's remove the 86,400. 201,600, right? Now if we divide this by 12, that should give us 16,800, which is supposed to collect the other year, which we are not interested. What we're interested in now is to multiply by 11. That gives us the missing figure, 184,800. 184,800. So we are interested in just these 3 years. So let's calculate We already have 184,800 here. So let's just add 12,600 and let's add 86,400. That gives us 283,800. 283,800. Take it straight up, put it under 217. What's that figure again? 283,800. So this is your workings one. So let's go down and do 216. So we have in 216, 64,800 plus 11,760 plus 138,600. That will give me 215,160. So let's go. All right. Then we'll do the next one, which is 215. So we have 60,480 plus 10,500 plus 129,360. That gives you 200,340. So take that, 200,340. Okay, we'll look at the question again. Is there any other thing that we are going to expect to be collected? So we've done cash sales, we've done balance of the monthly sales, we've done this. There's no other inflow. Let's see if there's any other inflow. No inflow. Everything is outflow. So that's it. So let's look at cash outflow. Cash outflow. Let's say payments to supplies. So that's workings number two. Let me write this well. Payment to suppliers. So this workings two. Now what's the policy? The policy on monthly purchase is in agreement with the supplier to pay for all supplies in the month following the purchase. Now, we are not giving purchase. Then we are saying that the general policy of the company is that purchased cost for bulk oil represent 60% of the corresponding value. Okay. And while its inventory policy is to reserve 30% of the month's purchase as closing inventory. So this is what we are going to do. So we'll say this is purchases. This work is two purchases. So we'll start with what year is that? 2013 to 2017. So this is 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017. We simply bring their sales. Let's say this is yearly sales. We have the yearly sales here, 144, 180, 116. Two 116 and 288. So this is the yearly sales. So yearly purchase, which is 60%. 60%. So 60%. So I'll come here and say 144,000 multiplied by 0.6, 86,400. 86,400. 180 times 0.6, 108. Then we have 201, 600, sorry, times 6, 120, 960. Then we have 216,000 times 0.6, 129, 600. We have 288 times 0.6, 172, 800. Now this is the yearly sales. This is the yearly purchases. This is the yearly purchases. That's not all. Let's calculate closing stock. We are told is 30%. 30% of purchase. So we have this already. Let's just find 30% of it. 51,840. 51,840. That's your closing stock. We have 86,400 times 30%. This is 25,290. That's your closing stock. We need it in profitability. That's why we're doing it here. 25,920, not 290, 920. Then we have 108 3, 32,400. Then we have 120, 960.3, that's 36,288. Then we have 129, 600.3, 38,880. Now, what we are saying, they said the general policy of the company is that the purchase cost of bulk oil represents 60% of the corresponding annual sales value. So it means 2013's purchase is 60% of 2013 sales, which we've calculated. And we are saying that it is in the agreement that you will pay 1 month later. What it means is that the whole of 2013, 11/12 of it is paid in 2013. Just 1/3 is paid in 2014. So we'll do something similar to what we did for sales. I can say January last year will simply be, look at the purchase here. Then I will say Feb to December this year. Why am I saying January last year? December last year. It's December last year I should have put here. December last year is coming in. December last year is coming in. So here should be January to November this year. Jan to November this year. So it means that December of this year will enter the other day. So the same thing here. So this is December last year. Is January to November. So what I'm going to do now is December last year, we don't have it here. So January, December last year, we don't have it. January to, so this is 86,400. If we divide this by 12, we are getting 1 month, which is 7/2, which is going to be December figure that will enter next year, 7/2. So it means that 7,200 will enter here out of this 7,002. The remaining 11 over, if you multiply by 11, which is 11 to 1, 79,200 will be here. 79,200 means this plus this should give you this. Okay, so we take this now. 108,000, just divided by 12, 9,000 will be taken next year. If you just multiply this by 11, or if you just remove 9,000 from 108, it's the same thing. Either you multiply this by 11, which is 99, or if you remove it from 108, it's the same thing. So this is 99,000, 9,000 here. So we'll do the same thing for 120, 960. Just divide by 12. That will give you 10,080. 10,080. Multiply that by 11. That will give me 110880. Okay, then I will come and do that of 129, 600. I'll divide by 12. I have 10,800. Multiply by 11. 118,800. And I will do 172,800. 172,800. I divide by 12. I don't have anywhere to put this. So to throw away that, multiply by 11. 158,400. 158,400. So once again, we're interested only in these three. So I have my 158,400 board here. Add 10,800. That will give me 169,200. 169,200. Write it. 169,200. 169,200. Go down again. We have 10,080 plus 118,800. That will give me 128,880. 128,880. Take it down. 128,880. We'll now do the next one. This is just 119,880. 119,880. All right. Now that we've done that of payments, we're done with this. Then we are to look for, we are told the company will purchase a motor vehicle in June 2016 and will be paid in two installments. So we're doing for 2015 and 2016. June 2015, July, I mean, will be paid in two installments. First payment will be 60% of the cost in 2016, while the balance will be paid in November 2016. So what it means is that we bought the vehicle in 2016. We are going to make the first payment in the same 2016. We are still going to make the second payment in the same 2016. So all this 60% they are telling you here and the balance is of no use because we are not doing monthly budget, we are doing yearly budget. So this whole 7.5 billion will be spent in 2016, purchase of vehicle. So say purchase of vehicle in 2016. That is 2016. 2016 is the middle one. 7.5, 7,500,000. Just a moment. Wow, 3 zeros are here and we didn't take them. So it means I'm going to remove this 30 here. That's the thing I wanted to check. So let me just put here. So this is 7,500. Right, nothing here, nothing here. What else? So we have done this and done this. Annual depreciation for the motor vehicle will be 20% on straight line basis. Monthly expenses include annual depreciation. So we look at monthly expenses. So we look at monthly expenses now. Monthly expenses excluding depreciation. Why are we excluding depreciation? Because depreciation does not involve the movement of cash. The only time we can put depreciation is when we are doing profitability. That's the only time we can look at depreciation. But now we are looking at cash. Depreciation does not involve the movement of cash. So we'll look at monthly expenses for the year. So that's workings 3. That's workings 3. I would say monthly stroke yearly expenses. So they said 2013, 2014, 15, 16, 17, 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, and 2017. 350, 370, 390, 390, 380, 350, 370, 390, 390, 380. So this is monthly expense. Monthly expense. And we are told that what is it again? We are told that the company salary, rent, and expenses will be paid in the month in which they are due. So it means everything here is paid in the month they are due. So I will say multiplied by 12. If I multiply this by 12, I'll be getting yearly expenses. So let's just multiply by 12, 350 times 12, that's 42. Then we have 370 by 12, 4440, 4440, 390 by 12, 4680, 4680, 4680. Then we have 380 by 12, 4560, 4560. And that's the yearly expense. Now, we are supposed to remove depreciation. Depreciation. So let's depreciation. And what are we told about depreciation? Depreciation will be 20% on straight line basis. So 20% of 7.5. So 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. So what it means here is how many years is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. So it's still the same thing here. We say 20% of 7,000, 7,500, 7,500. So what we mean here is 7,500 multiplied by 20%, 1,500. So we'll be lessing 1,500 because it's a straight line. 1,500, 1,500, 500, 1,500. So if you add this 1,500, it is 75. So this 15 doesn't involve the movement of cash. Sorry, we are told, we're not going to add it, we're not going to remove it. We are told that these expenses is inclusive of depreciation. Okay, that's why we are removing it. We need to remove the depreciation because it was included in the annual expenses. Depreciation does not involve the movement of cash. So it shouldn't form part of your expenses if you want to know your actual cash. So we are going to remove this expense, this depreciation because it has been loaded in it. So let's remove it. So this is going to be 4,200. That will give me 27 here. So this is 27. This is expenses exclusive of depreciation 270. So I'll go up here, 27 rather, go here. This is okay, no, this is not it. What I'm interested in is here, here, and here. So I will still do everything, but I will not take 4440 minus 15 plus 2940. So now start with where I want to take 4680 minus 15, 3180. Go up 3180. 3180. Do the next one. 4680 minus, okay, it's the same thing. This is 3180. Let me just do the last one. I'll take them back. It's 45. Okay. 4560 minus 15. 3060. So here is 3060, while here is 3180. So we've done with the depreciation and we've done expenses. So it's remaining salaries and rent. So we just say salary times 12, rent times 12. So no need to do workings on that. 800 times 12, just say 800 times 12. Don't need to even do 800 times 12. Let's go to 2015. 960, 960 times, sorry, 960 times 12, 11,540 and 520. 11,520, 11,520. That's 960 times 12. Then we have 1080 times 12. 12,960. 12,960. Then we go to rent. It's 402. So we simply say 400 times 12. 48. So we put 48 all through. Right. So the next thing here is to get our net cash flow. So what we'll do now, start from the beginning. 200, 340 minus 119,880 minus 3,180 minus 11,520 minus 48. That gives me 6,960. 6,960. Okay, we'll do the next one. 215,160 minus 128,880. Sorry, 880 minus 7,500 minus 3,180 minus 11,520. Let's see what else to minus. Minus 48. Minus 48. 175, 280. Now the last one. 283, sorry. 283 three 800 minus 169 200 minus 3060 minus 12,960 minus 4800. Now give me 93,780. I have reason for concern on the second one. Let's do the second one again. 215,160 minus 128,880 minus minus 75 minus 3180 minus 11,520 minus 48. That will give me 59,280. 59,280. 59,280. All right. Now that we know our cash flow, this is 2015, 2016, 2017. Then we are given an information. We are told that cash balance as at 31st December 2014 is 2.5 billion. That means the beginning cash in 2015 is 2.5 million. So you will say plus starting cash. Now this is 2.5 million. Then this should give you equals to ending cash. So if you add 60,960 plus 25, I'll give you 63,460. 63,460. Your ending cash will become your beginning cash, 63,460. So just add it to your 59,280, 122,740. That will be your beginning cash. You add it to 93,780. That gave me 216,520. So that's your cash forecast. I believe it's almost like that of ICANN. Let's just, for the sake of knowledge of what they did, that's question number 3. So it's almost the same thing. 63,460 61. There's a minor differences in certain calculations we did, so there's no problem. So, but it's a minor difference, so that's not an issue. You will still get your full mark. Full mark will still be given to you. All right, so the next one is asking you for profitability statement. Profitability statement for 2015, 2016, 2017. What's the profitability statement? So let's see if we can do that. Let's say profitability statement 2015 to 2017. Am I not writing this thing well? It's 2015 profitability statement. Right, so this is 2015, 2016, 2017. So we are looking for the profit. So this is our sales revenue. Sales revenue. We just go to workings number one and pick the sales. So we've done the yearly sales, 144. That's what we are picking. 18. Okay, so this is going to be 201,600, 216, and 288. 201,600, 216, 288. So this is two. What's happening? Wow, this has refused to write. This has refused to write. It's writing here. It's not writing here. All right, it's not writing, so I can't do anything. Okay, can't do anything about it here now. Let me see. Still not writing. I can't use my mouse to write. No, no, no. It's not going to write well. I can't use my mouse to write. Right, so since we cannot write, we can't write, so we have come to the end of this session. we cannot write anything anymore. But what I will tell you about profitability statement is you need to take your sales revenue. Then when it comes to cost of sales, all you just need to do here is to bring your opening stock, which you don't have. Okay, opening stock for 2015 will be the closing stock for 2014. You now add the purchase for 2015, then you less the closing stock for 2015. That will give you your cost of sales. You do the same thing for 2016, you take closing stock for 2015, which becomes the opening stock in 2016, bring the purchase, less the closing stock. That's how you do for the two of them for the 3 years. When you do your closing stock and your cost of sales, you've gotten your gross profit, then you bring all the other expenses. When it comes to that expenses that was inclusive of depreciation, you don't need to adjust it. You bring it the way it is because depreciation is supposed to be removed in profitability statement. And so you get your profitability statement, which you will use as a second answer. So thank you so much for coming to the end of today's class and for the end of this series of lectures that we've been having. I want to thank you so much for the endurance following me throughout